All right. Welcome to the Cincinnati podcast. We are going to welcome in our guest, Maurice Jones-Drew, MJD. What's going on, bro?
Hey, nothing, fellas. I love it. Cincinnati. I like it. I like it a lot. It's been a long time since y'all can say that, and I'm very, I'm no, I'm just being honest. It's all honesty, no jokes. Like, listen, I was with the Jags when we were bad. You know what I'm saying? And Cincinnati was bad. It's good to see. You go from the bottom to the top. Like that Drake song. It means it feels different, don't it? It feels different winning an AFC Championship and getting to the bowl, huh?
It definitely does for sure. I live in Florida now, and I've always been a Bengals fan, but one of the teams that always resonated with me where I felt like there were similarities to the Bengals was the Jags out of all of the teams down here. So like I never really connected with the Bucks, never really connected with the Dolphins, but I always felt like we were like cousins in a sense, like the way that the fans go hard for us, the way that the media kind of underrates us in a bit, kind of overlooks us. And then when you had that success, I even remember when y'all had David Garrard and Byron Leftwich and things like that happen. So I feel like we always have been cousins from my point of view, except for last year. We just had to put it on y'all real quick, right
I
at the
don't. I
last
wouldn't
second.
say. I wouldn't say put it on us. You feel me? I would say y'all snuck out. Y'all are at home. You guys snuck out with a victory, but it's all good because none of that matters. At the end of the day, this is what I always say. Like you guys drafted well. You hit on your draft picks. You hit on your coach. You gave him time to kind of put his system together. And now look at you guys are at the top of the AFC. Now the AFC's gotten better. But it happens. And I have to say this too. My brother-in-law, Justin Murray, grew up in Cincinnati. Huge Bengals fan. Hit me in December or the beginning of January. Was like, yo, when the Bengals make the Super Bowl, I need tickets. I said, bro, the Bengals make it, I got you. That joker was at the Super Bowl, so
So you had to cash out
That's what's up.
on.
for you guys, it's a good thing.
I will say this: the Jaguars game is very, very important to me because me and Ace, we had our camera crew there and stuff like that. That was the first time. I know he probably worded it a little differently, but that was the first time that I said going to the playoffs. I know that they squeaked it out, but it had all the making
Yeah.
of a playoff, like a clutch kicker, a quarterback that doesn't care, a guy that could take advantage of certain situations. The running back coach on there, we're talking directly to Kyle Kasky. We were messing with, he had ties to the Bengals, and we talked some really good trash that day, and we backed it up that night. I think you
No,
would have been
for
proud of
sure.
us.
Because I think we felt like the old Bengals in that circumstance would have lost that game. Like a lot of
Facts.
people were sitting there like, oh man, here we go again. Like, how can we mess this up? And for like Zim said, for them to show the moxie, it just kind of proved that this team was different. But shifting gears, you recently took a trip to Africa, the motherland. What was that like and how was that experience for you?
Listen, man. First of all, I always wanted to travel growing up and see different things. I was a history major in college. I had like look, seeing the pyramids and all these different things always interested me. But um, I was always scared to when I played because you'd hear stories like guys go over there, they get sick and whatever, and so I never did it. And luckily, I was able when I joined the NFL Network, I was able to join NFL International, which has been pretty awesome. And OCU Manure is kind of the credit for all that went on in Africa. We were in London last year, sitting down with the commissioner, having dinner with the commissioner and other people. And OC brought up, hey, I want to do NFL Africa. I want to go out there and scout African athletes. And I'm at dinner and I'm like, bro, you go to Africa, I'm coming. Especially if they're going to pay, I'm coming. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be there. So we end up going. It was awesome. Spent 8 days there. Obviously, you see what we're watching here right now is we're teaching kids how to play flag football. I was showing them some of my highlights
Yes, sir.
because the coach was like, show them what you did, which was pretty cool. And then I started showing them flag football highlights and different things. And they grasped it and they understood. They have some great athletes there, especially at the young age. The other stuff we did there is we really scouted and coached 50 of the best athletes in the continent of Africa. So South Africa, Congo, Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia. I mean, all over. Everybody was there. Zimbabwe. We had guys from everywhere. And you could see the natural ability there without any type of training, right? Obviously, you guys know the combine. Guys paid 20, 30, 40,000 to train for that one event. We had a guy jump a 37-inch vertical who was 6'6". He was 17 years old. Then he, after that, did 11-2 broad jump. you could see the natural speed. But again, if you're not used to running a 40, it's different, right? But guys, we ran like a 4.6, 4.7, which was good for guys that are 6'4", 215, right? There were top rugby players there, top basketball players there. Like you could just tell there were some guys. So had a great time with it. Then I got a chance to meet some of the younger players like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who obviously is a Browns player. I know y'all probably don't like him. Kwity Paye was awesome. Love Kwity Paye. Obo Okoronkwo, who's now with the Houston Texans, was awesome. And so we had a bunch. And then we had Uchenna Nwosu, who I really try not to talk about because he went to USC, right? And I went to UCLA, so I don't like to give him his props, but he did a good job as well. And we did a lot of stuff there. We went to a slave castle, Cape Coast, where we kind of learned the history of our at least my ancestry. They're all first generation Africans. So either their parents came from Africa over, or they were born in Africa and came over. I was only the African American there. So it was a lot to really like take in, right? And really enjoy. But the NFL did a great job of putting on a great event. We had a fan fest at the end where we had like 50, I want to say like maybe 4,000 to 5,000 people came through in a whole day of just learning about football and bringing it there. The Eagles took that territory, so they brought their cheerleaders. So it was, like I said, it was a lot. It was a lot, but it was awesome, right? To be able to go and touch the motherland, grab some dirt, touch the walls, see the people. The content that we got there was awesome. But then at the end of the day, to be able to explain our game and help grow our game was just an awesome thing.
When you talk about growing the game, do you see, or do you have the I guess the foresight to see like a day where there's an actual NFL game played there?
I think so. I definitely think you could do that. They have the stadiums, right? Just very similar to London, where they have soccer stadiums, which they call football there, but and they have the hotels, right? They have all those things. I think probably the only place that you'll be able to go, just because it takes 10 hours from Washington, D.C. to get there, right? So you got to make sure it's going to be two East Coast teams that can go down there and play. But I think the league is really, I may be speaking out of turn here, but I think the league is looking to either start a flag football league or actually put a real football teams there, right? As like a minor league system, right? Where you can have guys play in South Africa team, a Ghana team, wherever, all over the place, and teach the game of football. Because again, you got to understand, like, it is when you see some of these dudes, you'll be like, how old are you? And the guy be like, I'm 16. Like, bro, there's no way. Where's your birth certificate? You know what I'm saying? But it's really exciting to see it. There's a ton of excitement there. They have a lot of bars there that people go and watch our games, right? So it's nice to see. And the more people hear about it, the more people are excited, because it reminds them of rugby. It reminds them of a sport that a lot of Africans play. So I think it's definitely going to have a big draw as well. And then on top of that, I don't know if you guys know this, but flag football is growing at such a crazy rate that they're talking about putting that in the Olympics, right? We just had the World Games in Birmingham, Alabama. The NFL has done such a great job. They started 10 schools in Ghana, where they gave them we taught them how to play flag football, do all that stuff. They're going to have a whole league season. That champion is going to get flown from Ghana to wherever the Pro Bowl is. I think it's in Vegas again, to then play all the top flag teams in the States, right? So again, the league is putting an initiative out there, and they're putting the money behind, and they're backing it to grow this game. And I think, obviously when you talk about Africa, it's the biggest continent in the world, right? The most people in the world. And you can help both their infrastructure and the way their cities are growing in that, and the support in the cities and in the country by having football, right? By the NFL being there and being able to get fans to fly out, and tourism and all those things, and kind of build it up. So I think it's great for both parties.
Nah, that's super dope. We actually just interviewed a couple of players on our podcast with ties to Africa, and Chidobe Awuzie, as well as Eli Apple. So they definitely have the talent, and you definitely spoke about JOK and many others over there. Shifting back to the last postseason, I talked to you before the show, and I was like, bro, I was watching you all season. You were repping for the Bengals. I think it was right when the playoffs started. What kind of made you so confident in the Bengals during the postseason?
Well, it wasn't necessarily the postseason. It was they had asked me for work like what are the 3 teams or the 2 teams that you're terrified of playing, right? Um, and I'll talk about the Bengals last. First, it was the San Francisco 49ers because they could run the ball. They had a great defense. And Jimmy's gonna make mistakes, but nobody wanted to see the Niners as we saw going through that play. They was knocking cats off left and right? They got hot. They beat the Rams at the end of the year. They started getting hot. They got healthy. They were able to roll. The next one I said the Eagles, because for some reason no one really talks about them. They were the number 1 rushing offense. Jalen Hurts was running the ball really well. Their defense was very opportunistic. And to me, it was like, okay, like if they get hot with this quarterback that can run, it could be a problem. They end up like kind of, not playing so well against the Bucks. They went away from their game plan, I felt like. But when you talk about the Bengals, and it was really that Chiefs game, right? It was the Chiefs game that sold me. Like they were playing well. And I was like, well, if the Bengals keep it close with the Chiefs, I'm going to like them. You know what I'm saying? But to see Jamar Chase go off and Joe Burrow take advantage of his opportunities, the defense be opportunistic and get turnovers, and then to see them run the ball with Joe Mixon, my dog Larry Ogunjobi was balling at the time. Like, it was just so much going on. I was like, ooh. Then at the end, you see the way they won it? I was like, oh, yeah. And you have to remember, my old running back coach, my mentor, Eric Bieniemy, is with the Chiefs, right? And I called him after, and I'm like, bro, what's the deal? He was like, man, we kind of gave that game away, but they serious, right? They could play. And so I was like, well, if they could beat the Chiefs, being as young as the Bengals were, the Bengals are, to beat the Chiefs in that situation and have that game closing mentality where we can finish out games, that quarterback that doesn't care what the score is going to go out and throw. And I'll say this too, the Baltimore game was the other one that got me, when the coach was like, well, this isn't Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams that we're going against. And then he threw that bomb late in the game. And then his response was, well, you ain't going against Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was like, oh, okay. They're playing with some type of confidence. And so I knew going in, I was like, I just don't know. Like, I didn't know if the O-line was going to hold up or not, but I knew you had the pieces on defense and offensively to go out and score with anyone. And I mean, barely beat the Raiders, which was fine. Went to Tennessee, got sacked 9 times and still found a way to win. And then to come back down 18 or 21 against the Chiefs to win, I was like, yeah, like this is going to be a tough for whoever it might have been. Right. And so, yeah, again, it was just the way the guys were playing, the way the quarterback was playing, the way the defense was like getting turnovers. Those are like important things. And you start getting hot in November. You could be the best team. If you look at the Cardinals, for example, the Cardinals always start off well. This year, they probably going to beat the Chiefs. They're going to start off great. They always taper down come November, December. They can't hold it. It's the teams that get hot in November, December that make the run for the Super Bowl every year. And so if you look at the Rams, they didn't win a game in November. And then they got hot in December and then made a run at the thing, right? And so it's all about getting hot and playing football, good football at the right time. And the Bengals were definitely one of them that could do it.
Man, you were talking about at the very beginning of the Eagles being the run offense that they were. It killed me in fantasy with Miles Sanders. I don't know if you at some point, I don't know when they gave it the game well or whatever. He was killing me in games. I actually won my chip, but at one point that was a thing. But the
I don't
Chiefs
mess with
game,
Miles Sanders.
From a fantasy standpoint,
yeah, I don't mess with him. They don't mess with him, so I ain't gonna mess with him. They don't like to give him the ball, so why am I gonna draft him?
Well, see, look, I'm looking at mocks right now. We were just doing a mock the other day, and they got them so high, and I was like, y'all don't look at like the way that they utilized them this past season. I thought that's
they tricky. Don't mess with Miles Sanders, family. Don't let the mocks get you in trouble. That's too. Listen, I'm a believer in, and just like I told you guys about the Bengals, I'm a believer in what I see, not what I hear or what you tell me is gonna happen. What I see. They literally refuse to give this dude the ball.
Yes.
So why would I haven't drafted him since his rookie year. Like I'm not, bro, that's on.
Right. Because I think a lot of people would look at him almost like maybe Kareem Hunt or something like that. You just get so enamored with the talent level that you kind of lose sight of the utilization. And I guess that's my theory with him or whatever. Like he messed me up at one point. I fell into the trap.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on your boy Joe in terms of fantasy?
I love Joe Mixon. I think you guys are going to run the ball a lot more this year, to be honest. I felt like at the end of that Chiefs game, you kind of caught your rhythm. I felt like in the Super Bowl if they would have kept giving Joe the ball. And I understand completely why they stopped, right? Because Joe wasn't blocking. He was giving up sacks, right? So you can't put him in there on third down. But he should have had 150 rushing in that game. Y'all would have won the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you this. I got something I want to ask you about from a former, running back, right? Let me ask, this is a theory that a lot of people have been running with. I've been working on this for a little bit. A lot of people are very, very critical of them putting P-Ryan in the game. But from a pass protection standpoint, you got linebackers running at you 100 miles per hour. Is that something like, I get it on third down, you want to have your best guys out there and everything like that. Is that something that a running back that actually played in the league, you think about like, hey, look, I don't want to get dinged up in pass protection and then occasionally get these dump offs and maybe like, is the reward for being in on third down higher than what Bengals fans are rating it currently right now?
Yeah, I want to touch the ball as much as possible, bro. And if that means I have to block to do it, I have to block to do it. I just think in those situations, Joe just didn't really excel in that at the Super Bowl. And that's still to me, and this is where I kind of go back and forth a little bit because I'm coaching youth football. So I'm trying to develop kids at the NFL. Like, we're going to develop you, but I got to win games, right? P. Ryan wasn't going to run that ball, bro. We know that he's not the runner like we thought, like people thought he was coming out of college. That's not what he did. That his game doesn't mold like he did at Oklahoma here.
They used to compare him to you. They used to compare him to you.
No, he's not. No, he ain't even close to that. He ain't nothing like that. Don't do that.
I'm not doing that. I'm just saying. That's
and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because look, this is my thing. When he's like 230 pounds, he's 230 some pounds, right?
He's a big dude.
How do you not get a yard?
Aaron Donald.
No, I don't. I played against Aaron Donald. He couldn't stop me for a yard.
Key block going against the smaller
I don't
guard.
care if they don't block nobody. It's a Super Bowl. How do you not get 1 yard, bro?
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Like
that spot, I hate the spot.
But this is the thing, though.
I agree with what you're saying.
But this is the thing, though. Joe Mixon had, with that same offensive line, was breaking off 20 and 30-yard runs. So if I'm Zach Taylor in that situation, I don't care if they know we're running the ball with Joe Mixon. Joe, go in here and get us his first down, and then I'm gonna pull you back out. P. Ryan, go back in there and get this pass. At that point, we got to be selfish and selfless, right? Selfish in the fact that I know my star runner needs to run the ball because he's been gashing them. Right, the Rams couldn't stop your running game to save their life. Now, passing was a little bit different, but stopping that running game, oh my God, couldn't do it.
But I was more so speaking to the overall concept. Maybe not just that one play, right? Is that a thing where you want to make sure, like in your case, when you were at your peak, you want to keep you as fresh as possible?
No.
So
listen.
That's never a point where you're like, hey, bro, I just need to preserve myself to the important.
Because this is the thing. And okay, this is gonna sound like out of pocket, but the team is better with me being on the field at all times.
No, that's real.
And so again, with the Bengals, your best was your best 11 on the field at all times, right? Is P. Ryan better than Joe Mixon? I can tell you no, because Joe Mixon got suspended a year. P. Ryan broke all these records, was an All-American. When Joe Mixon came back at Oklahoma, he went to second team and Joe Mixon went back to first team. That tells me he ain't better than him. You see what I'm saying? So you want to always have your best 11 on the field. Now, it's on Joe to be a better pass blocker. You see what I'm saying? It's on Joe to really dedicate himself throughout training camp and the season to be a better pass blocker, because now that's kind of out on him. Now, I've said that about Saquon Barkley as well, and I'll say the same thing about Joe Mixon. You have to be a complete back. That is running, catching, and blocking, right? If you can't block, I used to have a coach tell me this all the time, if you can't block, you can't play. Because eventually we have to keep you in there. You have to be able to block, because now if you can block, I can run screens with you. I can run you out of the backfield and I have the defense on their heels, and it doesn't like cut out half of our stuff when I put you in the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's on Joe now to be a complete back, because that cost you guys the Super Bowl at the end of the day. He gave it 2 sacks in that game?
He did.
And that's why they were like, bro, we gotta pull him out because he's not pass blocking. That's on Joe Mixon.
Right.
And so Joe has to now be a better pass blocker. He's a great receiver, a great runner, horrible pass blocker. And I've seen him pass block before. Now I've seen him in spurts do a great job. He needs to be a more consistent pass blocker is what I would say, especially against linebackers when you're trying to throw the ball. Another
option that people bring up in reference to Samaje Perine is Chris Evans. are you like familiar with Chris Evans
Yeah.
and what he can do? Do you think that he would be able to be that kind of pass blocking?
You know,
back,
that's his fantasy sleeper right there. You damn right he's familiar with it, right?
No.
Come on, that's a sleeper.
No.
Yes,
because,
he is.
Look, you got to remember what Chris Evans weighs like 200 pounds, 210 pounds, maybe.
Yep.
They put P Ryan in there because he's a bigger back, right? And he can handle the bull rush.
Sure-handed.
Right. But not even that he's sure-handed. It wasn't that he was in there to receive the ball, because again, Joe Mixon's a better receiver than him. They literally put him in that situation, and that they saw Zach Taylor calculated the situation. Look, they probably gonna think we're gonna pass because P Ryan's in. We're gonna try to sneak this run play in there and get him. I get that. I understand the thought process of it. Right. But to me, I want to give the ball. If I'm going to run the ball, my best runner has to run the ball. You see what I'm saying?
Facts.
P Ryan was put in because he could pass block. He could handle the bull rush, because that's all it. So as I'm calling the game and I see the Rams, all the Rams were doing was rushing that backer to create one-on-ones for Aaron Donald and Von Miller. That's all they were trying to do. So Joe couldn't chip and help on the other side. What ended up happening though was I forget the name. Linebacker's name just slipped my mind, and I got to call their
move Gaines over top of the centers to let Aaron Donald.
It wasn't Gaines. It was the line. It was number 50. It was 50. It was a rookie guy. Ernest Jones. They just put him in that gap so Joe would come up. They were going to sacrifice him. They weren't even worried about it. But he found out that he could bull rush Joe, pick a side, and go get to the quarterback, and that's how he was able to get sacks. And so they just put P Ryan there because he could handle the bull. He's big enough to handle the bull rush. You know what I'm saying? He's big enough. He's strong enough to do it. And so when you get in that situation, and Zach Taylor said it, like he was like, "I'd do it again," and I disagree with that. I wouldn't do it again because you didn't get the yards, right? I would put my best player there and give him the ball. Very similar to on 4th and 1. He ran a go ball with Jamar Chase. You know why? Because that's your best player and that's his best route. That's why you called that play, to try to get that ball up and out there, and he beat Ramsey, right? You just couldn't block Aaron Donald. So it's always about, when you get in those critical situations, is finding a way to get your best player the ball that you think can help you be successful.
You kind of spoke a little bit about like your view from the Super Bowl. Did you have any other impressions throughout the game about like how the Super Bowl went between the Bengals and Rams?
I mean, I thought, I'm a big component of consistency, and I feel like the refs were pretty consistent for the most part. There were some plays they let go. There were some plays that they didn't. I know the holding on Cooper Kupp, a lot of people were upset about, right? And this is what I'll say. Anytime there's a receiver on a linebacker and he grabs him, they're going to call holding. That's a league rule, right? Like, that's why you see a lot of teams try to put speed at 3, right? You ever see the Chiefs? They put Tyreek Hill at 3 because if a linebacker grabs him, he's so strong, he's going to, even if he doesn't hook him, right? If he touches him, he's so strong that he's going to throw him off. And all the refs are looking at are the shoulders, right? So when Cooper Kupp ran that in route, and your linebacker is on him, and he has his hand on the inside, on this, his right hand is on like the outside of Cooper Kupp, and he's reaching over, and Cooper Kupp turns his shoulders, they're going to throw that flag every time.
Ball's underthrown. That's the only reason why it looks like it's holding, though.
Well, no, he put the ball on him, but when the linebacker turned him, you feel me? He turned him to try to get over and swipe the ball.
If we just threw that ball on point, Jesse Bates would have lit his ass up.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so this is the thing. When you say on point, the quarterback sees Jesse Bates.
Like in stride, like he had to come back to it.
No, you're talking about which play? I'm talking about the little in route, the little 5-yard in route.
I'm talking about the third down and 8
on the goal line.
Yeah, with the Logan Wilson. You feel like the Logan Wilson one. You feel like they're like he's grabbing. I feel like he has to slow down for the play. Like if there's a
no, you're right. So you're exactly right. So he slows down because he sees the safety. Right, Logan Wilson's there. He puts the ball. He didn't lead him. You can't lead him when you're in the red zone, you can't lead anyone because if you lead them, they're going to go to sleep.
The windows are too small.
Yeah, they're going to go to sleep. Gotcha. So you have to put it on them. What happened was your linebacker, when he had his hand on his right side, so I'm showing you, he had his hand here, and he went to go like this. Look what happens. You see what I'm saying? And what does Cooper Kupp do? And that's all it takes.
Gotcha.
And that's all it takes. And so if you're a tight end, you're not going to get that call. That's what you got to remember. See, it's position specific. If you're a tight end, you're not going to get that call. The same reason Ramsey didn't get the call with T. Higgins. There was 2 guys battling. T. Higgins ends up just muscling them and catches the ball. Ramsey's all up in their uproar. But again, it's receiver on corner. They're not going to call it if you guys are both hand fighting. And Ramsey had been hand fighting with all those receivers all day, right? So they were consistent in that matter. I know there were a lot of people upset about it, But I keep telling you, look at the league. Anytime you see a linebacker cover a receiver he grabs them or anything, they throw a flag every time. It's just what they do because they know they're taught as refs, because we talk to the refs all the time. They're taught as refs that guy shouldn't be able to stick with him anyways, because he's obviously he's a linebacker, this is a receiver. So if he's grabbing him or touching him, they're gonna throw a flag. But I thought the Bengals did an awesome job coming out of half, being aggressive. I thought you guys made some great adjustments. At the end of the game, I just thought that the defensive coordinator went to his plays over who to stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest, bro, I would have let number 18, I would have let Van Jefferson. All them dudes was going to have to beat me.
Fact.
Ken wasn't going to beat me.
Awuzie was just talking to us on the interview that Ace was telling you about too. He was just talking about, if you remember, he went down a couple plays on that, and then he gets matched up in some. I give Rams credit for a lot in that game. I feel like the perspectives are a little bit different too, because a lot of fans are going on to that T. Higgins passage you were talking about. One that Bengals fans look at is that early goal line one where Ramsey's holding T. Higgins' jersey going across the end zone. Yeah. And to me, I don't think people ever bring that one up. I also go to right after the interception by Awuzie, then the Bengals were in clear control of the game at that point. And then they didn't come back and put it on them. And then you got 5 straight possessions for both sides where there's no points. And I don't even really go to the end of the game. I look at those 5 straight possessions. I'm like, you didn't do anything to go win a Super Bowl.
So just like I told you, right? The refs were letting the receivers and DBs go at it. Yeah. Right? T. Higgins got away with the face mask. Ramsey got away with some holding. They were going to let those dudes play, right? I thought when Awuzie got that interception, they threw it. They had Bates had that one in the end zone. Like, that's when they should have came out and ran the ball. Right. Run the ball and wear this defense out. I felt like they got a little pass happy, but that was how you guys won. So I'm not upset with that. You guys won games throwing the football. But when you really look at the essence of the Super Bowl, in any game, in any fashion of it, you want to stop their number one player. That last drive, Odell Beckham Jr. was out. He was hurt. Once he went out, I'd have been like, all coverage, we're going to triple Cooper Kupp. And we're gonna, exactly. and that's, again, this is when you deal with, like, as a former player and as a coach now, both in high school and youth football. And I've worked with coaches at the NFL and college level and all that. And I've went to meetings and I listen and I understand it's your X's and O's and you're a scheme guy and all that. And all that sounds good. But that last drive was Cooper Kupp. Period. It was Cooper Kupp. And eventually there's a saying in the NFL, there's a saying in football in general that says it's not about the X's and O's, but the Jimmy and Joes. Right? If I'm the Bengals, someone else is going to beat me besides Cooper Kupp. Right? Just like when y'all played the Chiefs the second time, someone else is going to beat them besides Jamar Chase. He went for 200 and 300 yards the first game. Second game, he had like 30 yards and a touchdown. You know, like someone else was going to beat us. And that's okay. If we lose, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, but I'm not going to let your star players beat us. And so that is kind of how I saw the game go. The Rams tried to take away, you guys had a ton of weapons. So the Rams put Ramsey on whoever, and they clouded everyone else. And they just like, look, we just got to get them with our pass rush. And the pass rush got going, right? They figured out how to get the pass rush going. Right. But for you guys, I felt like if you'd have ran the ball more, and if you'd have just put all those guys on Cooper Kupp when Odell went down, the game would have went completely different. You guys would have walked away with it.
For sure.
And that's one part of it. Another thing that I feel like has to change, even and I think this ties in with fantasy too. To look at the amount of targets that Jamar Chase had in the season itself, to lead the season at that level of talent, having 128 targets, and then you look at somebody like Deontay Johnson who gets 169 targets, and still Jamar Chase outperforms him by 400, 500 yards. Cooper Kupp only had 500 more yards than Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase just broke every single record with 81 catches in the whole entire season, and then you leave out of the Super Bowl with like 5 targets. So I do get the point about, like rushing the ball, but I do feel like it was a bit of fool's gold where the Rams were inviting those runs on first and second down, saying, okay, we'll give you that. But on third down, we're coming bull rushing your undersized offensive line, and we're going to take our chances with it, because over the top, Jalen Ramsey was clearly not trying to get beat over the top. I think there was a pass. It's a very key pass. It's a third down pass that nobody really talks about, where Joe Burrow skips a pass on the sideline, something that we never see him do. But Jalen Ramsey is clearly thinking like, I am not about to get beat on this play, and he gives it up to him. Comeback route, chases at the sticks, Joe skips it. So it's like small details, the experience, all these different factors or whatever. Going into your experience that you know from just playing football, I look at the all-season acquisitions of the Bengals, and I think that they did a lot to help themselves in the run game, primarily more so than the pass game. I feel like Joe Burrow's still going to get sacked a bunch of times. But in the run game, knowing what you know about, man, he's a renegade, bro. Like, he does not care. He says on third downs, I'll just take sacks. I don't care. Early in what Joe Mixon's got coming up this upcoming season, he was behind the worst offensive line as far as penetration. 52% of his handoffs, there he was met by a defender in the backfield, and he still had 1,300 all-purpose yards. What do you see from Joe Mixon that you like? What do you think is going to be the key to him having a successful season?
Well, I think the acquisitions you guys made to kind of shore up that offensive line was huge. I think that was probably one of the most important things. I think adding the tight end from Atlanta, Hurst, Hayden Hurst, is big too. He doesn't get enough credit for how good he actually is. I know you guys lost CJ, but he's a tremendous run blocker. Obviously, being in Baltimore, but then his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, or not out of the backfield as a tight end, is going to help as well. To me, you know, I believe I'm not worried about Joe Burrow taking sacks, as long as it's like he's going through his progression. Does that make sense? Right. You guys bettered the offensive line, which is going to help everything. You have those receivers, which are going to help everything, and it's going to open up the running game more. I really believed, and we all knew this was going to happen, that the Bengals were going to go lock it in and really put a lot of money and draft capital into that offensive line or defensive line. And so to me, that's the most important thing you can do, especially when you have a franchise quarterback and you have a franchise receiver. You want to make sure that he has time to get him the ball. And so when you talk about Joe Mixon, and this is something I talked to Brian Callahan, the OC for the Bengals, a lot, is that people don't understand. Joe Mixon in college had a game where he almost had 100 rushing and 100 receiving. He is Christian McCaffrey, but bigger and faster, right? And so you got to be able to utilize him as that as well. If we can't turn around and hand you the ball off, and I know we have Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and all these guys, that's another weapon that you could put out there, a receiver. And we saw that when he ran past the player for the Baltimore Ravens and caught that deep ball at the end of the game, right? So you have those kind of guys. You just have to be a little bit more creative in that, but also keep it in the flow of the game, right? If I'm going to run Joe a little bit more, and I think you said it best, 1,300 all-purpose yards. I don't care about the rushing. I don't care about the receiving. I need both. I need it all, right? Give it all to me. Let me be selfish. And so when you could have Joe doing that, now, and then always look at it from a defensive standpoint as an offense. Okay, let's say we're going to double team Jamar Chase. Well, then T. Higgins is single covered, Tyler Boyd single covered, and Joe Mixon is covered by a linebacker, probably your worst defender, even though he's one of your better receivers, right? So now I have a matchup problem. We have matchup problems here that we can go and exploit throughout the time. And so I think, and I always talk about you want to talk about Joe Mixon being better. The play count, the play calling, it has to be, obviously you got to get him going, running the ball. But then the way you fix that offensive line is going to help out a ton more. You got to think, I mean, Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times in the playoff game. He's been hit, I think he got sacked, he's like the most sacked quarterback in the last couple years, and yet you still find a way to win. So what is it like when you don't get sacked and you can run the ball and you can be balanced, right? And then the other top is you're going to get your defense better by doing all those things. So to me, the most important thing is fixing that offensive line so that Joe can do his thing in the running game and they can protect in the passing game. And if they can do that, and I can't, don't let me say that y'all can run it back or y'all can go back, because the AFC is tough, but you're giving yourself an opportunity to go back. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're setting yourself up for success. The AFC has gotten, man, it's loaded. There's like 12, 13 teams in the AFC, right? That can really, they have a chance to go. But you're giving yourself a chance when you can protect your quarterback and create running lanes.
Speaking of the quarterback, Joe is not getting reps right now because he had a surgery to remove his appendix. Is that going to be something to cause an issue at this point of training camp, or what are your thoughts on that?
I've never been really worried about Joe Burrow per se. Like, reps and stuff. Like, he's a smart kid. He has that it factor, that moxie that you talk about. Tough, right? Plays through injury. My thing is, there's always something with him around this time, right? It's like knee, appendix, what I think there was some other hand, finger, whatever. Like, it's always something. I just I need you not to have something in training camp. But maybe that's something maybe that is what you are, though. Maybe you get something in training camp and then you kind of use that to fuel you throughout the season. I don't know. But I just feel like every so often, or at least since he's been in the league the last 3 years, there's always been something. You know what I mean? And so if that's what it is, we just got to get used to it. If we're, national media and Bengals fans, we just got to get used to it. But at the end of the day, I think I'm never worried about Joe Burrow. Since he's been in the league, he's been a dog. He's dominant. He's gotten better and better with every throw, with every rep. The fact that they brought his boy in there, Jamar Chase, and he was able to go do his thing, that was right. And so to me, it's like, okay, you guys found you one. And it shows you how quick a franchise can turn around when you get a guy that can go and do it. And so Joe Burrow will be around for a long time. I just hope that he can stay healthy, right? Now, I know people are like, well, he got his appendix taken out. You're not healthy. You had to have surgery, bro. Like, I know, and sometimes that has nothing we can do about it, but just trying to stay healthy to get those reps in training camp are the most important.
Right. Moving forward, I guess, with the evolution of, like, you spoke on him earlier, Jamar Chase. We've seen a lot of guys this all season talk about their top 5. Cooper Kupp put him in there. Stephon Diggs put him in there. Keenan Allen, I think, penciled his name in or whatever. Do you think it's too quick for you to say that he's already in your top 5 wide receivers, or do you feel like you need to see more?
Oh, no, he's definitely. I knew he was going to be top 5. I knew he was going to be one of the best receivers in the game coming out of LSU. You want to know why? Because Justin Jefferson killed the league, right, and he was the number 2 option at LSU. Right. So we already knew what it was. Like it's like I told you, I don't worry about what people think or say or hear. Like, you watch the tape,
right?
He was destroying people at LSU. So much so that he didn't even have to play a year and still got drafted high, and then came and did it again. And so receivers, I just think that team that they had at LSU was loaded. And you saw the way Justin Jefferson took the league by storm, is taking the league by storm. And he wasn't close to being as what Jamar Chase is. And so go ahead.
I don't want to cut you off. All right. I think you said this, right? Jamar Chase is that dude, right? You've established that we've done a lot in the offensive line. You talked about the AFC getting better, and you say like maybe 8, 12 teams, right? Help me do this. What team has anything remotely close to that? If we're talking Bills, is Gabriel Davis is the number 2? Like, who remotely close? Like, what would be the limitations of this offense, and why the heck would they not come back to the same?
I don't think it'd be the offense. I think it'd be the defense, to be honest with you. Obviously, Eli Apple got picked on the whole season. So you have to be able to make sure that he's better in that. To me, it's there's pressure on the offense to score on every possession, and that may be too much. Does that make sense? Where the Buffalo Bills, they don't have to score on every possession. They've solidified both sides of the ball. The Chiefs pretty much have to score on every possession. The Raiders, they don't have to. They have guys on both ends. They've added probably arguably the best receiver in the game. You see what I'm saying? And Devontae Adams to help them. If you go to Miami, that's a track team down there, right? They got a track team. They could literally throw a 5-yard hitch and somebody could take it 99 yards if they wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's different teams with different things. And so everyone has different challenges. I think for you all, it's, can your defense continue to be that opportunistic defense that they were last year? It's hard to be opportunistic 2 years in a row. You see what I'm saying? And when I say opportunistic, is when you make a mistake, we're going to play bend, don't break. But when you make a mistake, we're going to take advantage of it. Sometimes you play bend, don't break, and you don't take advantage of those mistakes. You see what I'm saying? And so the team may score or take time and get down there and kick field goals. And so that means it's a little more pressure on your offense to score every time they touch the ball and not kick field goals. And so I think that's kind of the challenge with the Bengals right now. If you look at the Colts have a really good – the Colts are a team that's sneaky team. Even the Titans are a sneaky team, right? Roster. With Derrick Henry being back and healthy.
I love the Colts. Like some of the other ones, like you talked about.
Baltimore is tough. Don't let Baltimore fool you. Baltimore is tough.
For sure. The ultimate
right?
X factor in football. Like,
and listen, depending on what happens with Deshaun Watson, y'all got swept by the Browns last year with Baker Mayfield. If Deshaun Watson come back this year, they're gonna be a problem too.
It's on site for them.
Huh?
It's on site for them. It's on site for them.
Exactly. It need to be on site. But that's what I'm saying. Like, so there's different things. I didn't even talk about the Denver Broncos, who I still have coming in fourth in their division, but they got dangerous. And I'm not the biggest dangerous fan, but I think if he gets rolling and they have a running game, because if they have a defense and a running game, Dangerous can win the MVP. You just can't let him cook. Because when he cook, he'll mess it up. You know what I'm saying? And then the Chargers.
I'm here to let you know there's a lot of variables that you're speaking on a lot of these teams.
Here goes the other kicker. Y'all lucky the Chargers didn't get in that thing.
The Chargers have the worst pass defense in the NFL this past season.
But I'm saying,
come on,
I would have cooked them too.
Taking the Chargers serious after
what
you did.
Did the Chargers beat y'all in Cincinnati?
After what you did,
but how did they win?
Man, we can't.
You want to revisit that game?
That's what I'm telling you. What I tell you, when your defense is opportunistic, what happens?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I know Herbert was balled up on the ground looking like a baby when Hendrickson was coming and eating his lunch in that game.
That's fine. But when your defense wasn't taking advantage of the opportunities to get turnovers, y'all lost, right? So, and they've gotten better.
And Mixon fumbled and gave them 7
We're gonna try to do them like you did Sean Merriman on that play. That's what
listen, somebody gonna have to do it, because this is the thing. They've gotten
about him running enough. Like,
they've gotten much better. The Chargers have gotten much better, right? They added Mack, J.C. Jackson. You got Duro and they got better on defense, and so that's when we talk about the AFC, that's what you got to talk about. Like, we didn't even talk about the New England Patriots.
They're trying to go from the 32nd pass defense to like mid. We're already mid.
But that's what I'm saying. But
you talked about the upgrades. Check this out. The Bengals lost no one. All these other teams that you just named, they lost people.
No, the Bengals did lose someone. Y'all lost Larry Ogunjobi, who gave you 7 sacks.
But we replaced him with the highest 3-second SEC history with Zach Carter, and then we got Joseph Osai back.
Hey, you're talking about a college player coming in, and don't give me no disrespect. Jamar Chase did a great job, but there ain't many Jamar Chases out there. Temper your expectations. I'm just telling you.
I just think that Larry Ogunjobi was a deficiency in the run game for most of the season. He graded out at a 50. BJ Hill outperformed him. Yeah. But I'm just saying, if we're going by like just what we know and what we saw, Ogunjobi was he didn't help us in the run game.
He gave BJ Hill, but listen to the thing, he gave you 7.5 sacks from the interior.
Very clear.
What is this league about? I'm gonna break it down to you. This is why we have to be able to see the same thing. This league is about affecting and protecting the quarterback.
Yes,
that's why they pay DNs a bunch of money. That's why they play corners a bunch of money, tackles a bunch of money, right, and receivers a bunch of money. That's why they pay them. That's why tight ends ain't getting paid a lot and running backs ain't getting paid a lot. And really guards don't get paid that much either, because no one really cares. To be honest, that's why Aaron Donald dominates so much, because the guard position isn't at his highest level, right? And so if you can get 7.5 sacks from your rookie out of the SC or at SEC, then Florida. Good. If you can't, that's 7.5 sacks that you don't have. You see what I'm saying? And so that is when I talk about being opportunistic with as a defense. And I'm just giving you asked me.
No. Right. I know you like the Bengals too.
Because it's the thing. Everybody in the AFC has deficiencies. The key is, can you cover them up? Can you mask them? Can you put some deodorant on them so that you can make a run at this thing? Yeah. The NFC is even worse. Like it's all over the place. So understand, and I will say this to end it is, understand that you guys have all the pieces to go back and do it all over again. Everything. All, like you said, you didn't miss many guys on defense and lose many guys on defense, added pieces on offense. You have all that. But the one thing that y'all did last year that they have to do again, they have to get hot in November. November, December, if you get hot, that's what made your run true. Y'all weren't dominating the whole year long. You were, like you said, we talked about, you barely beat the Jaguars, right? You were eking some victories here and there. You beat the Baltimore Ravens twice, right? You were putting some stuff together.
Dominated them.
But remember, Baltimore's going to be back healthy again. They
were healthy the first time. Ask Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah, well, they didn't have Marcus Peters, though.
What is he going to do to Jamar Chase? I want him out there, actually.
All I'm going to say is
before Trayvon Diggs, there was Marcus Peters, the person that got cooked the most in the NFL.
Better not
I
bite
want him
on
back.
that double move from T. Higgins.
I'm telling you, MJD,
I'm going to tell you guys something.
I'm going to tell you. I know.
I'm about to tell you. Again, you got to remember, I don't cover the Bengals like you guys do, but I'm going to tell you this. Marcus Peters leads the league in interceptions, so you better double move him, because if you don't, the ending game.
That's where the offensive line comes into play.
Exactly. That's where the offensive line comes into play, because you got to have time to double move. And so, like I said, all those things we talked about is set up for you guys to do it. Now you just got to do it.
Yes, sir. Well, we appreciate your time, man. I wanted to talk about that Sean Merriman play because I still remember that one.
It's all old, man. It's still on his mind. I'm fine. I moved past it.
I feel like we didn't talk about how great of a runner. I was telling someone on Twitter, like, man, I'm about to interview MJD or whatever. They were like, NFL Network. I'm like, yeah, but he's an amazing running back too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
amazing running back.
I'm happy about that. I want to be known for my TV prowess. I want to be known for being an analyst. You know, I did the football thing. It was fun, and it's always good to go back and watch.
Football
but
thing.
Yeah, but when
like
people,
a major savant that just does it all at a really high level.
Travel. I'm trying to do it all. I'm trying to be the first black. I can't say the first black person on Antarctica because I've seen black people on Antarctica. I'm a little frustrated with myself for waiting, but I'm gonna be like the first black NFL person on Antarctica for sure.
Super random Antarctica.
Yeah,
super
why not?
Random. Why not?
Indiana Jones-Drew. That's who I do when I go travel.
Indiana Jones-Drew. Okay. All
right, fellas, I'll hit you up.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for stopping by again.